optimal learning style, consistency, rest, recovery, learning to be flexible. What is up, everyone? My name is Ishaan. Welcome to the video. I'm a first year graduate student in Planetary Sciences at Purdue, and this is the weekly log for the second semester, week number 4. In this video, I'm just going to quickly run down a few of the learnings that I derived from my experiences from this week. Just going about the PhD program with my classes, etc. And really the goal of these videos is for me to be able to self-reflect, derive learnings, hopefully help you learn something in the process. And in the future, I want to look back to these videos and I want to be like, wow, like I did quite a bit during my PhD program. Like I want to be able to document this journey, because whenever I look back to my past experiences, I'm like, I really wish I did it more. One specific example I'm thinking of is the application process for grad schools. I applied to 5 different schools, which some people said was too little. Some people were like, are you sure you don't want to apply to more schools? But I knew in my mind and my heart that there was no way I wasn't going to get into the schools that I wanted and end up in a good program. And here I am. Side note, always believe in yourself. Always believe that you're going to be able to figure it out. These are going to be like two of some of the most important superpowers you need in life. And if you're considering higher education, graduate school, master's, PhD, cheat codes. These learnings and these beliefs that you hardwire into yourself and in your mind, absolute fucking cheat codes. Cannot stress it enough. Let's head into the learnings for this week. It was honestly a very hectic week, and I think it was just because of the previous week was carrying over, because I was just extremely exhausted, and to be honest, I didn't give myself enough time for rest and recovery last weekend. So going into the week, I started off with like not at my 100% to begin with, and that's one of the learnings, right? Rest and recovery are very much needed. You don't want to be burnt out, because it's going to carry on to the next week, because the work doesn't stop, which means that you have to make yourself stop at some times and take the break that's necessary so you can come back tomorrow even stronger. And I can't believe that even after years and years and years of living life and being part of industry, coming back to school, it's just something that I have already learned, but it's something that I don't always implement, because I'm like, I really do want to work on my things. Like I really do want to work on my projects, because I want to make progress. I know how good it feels, and it's just oh my god, dude, it's just such a great feeling that takes over you, that I'm constantly like, I want to, but I guess that's me chasing a state of joy that is not sustainable for a long period of time. Like it does happen in short bursts, and I shouldn't be giving up rest and recovery for chasing that. I didn't even think of that before I recorded this video, which is exactly why I record the videos. When I talk things out, things start to flow, and I realize things that I'm like, yeah, this is very important. So my homework this week, along with all my school stuff, will be to make some time for rest and recovery. Also, my mom and my sister are visiting me in Indiana this whole week, so I'll have to make extra time for them as well. The second learning is pertaining to my optimal learning style. I swear, over the past 2-3 months, I have again really recognized and absorbed that my learning style is not the same as everyone else. I don't learn from lectures. I learn when I'm able to watch the lectures at my own preferred pace and speed. The reason that this comes up is because one of my classes, its structured is just not, it's like the complete opposite of what my learning style is. Like so we meet twice a week. On Tuesday, it's fully lecture for an hour and 15 minutes. And then the Thursday classroom, we discussed some papers and the lecture stuff that we went over on Tuesday. And Oh my god, bro, that's crazy. How can we split the two extreme things and just have them separate completely? Why can't we mix the two and have a balance of both? It just doesn't make sense to me. And I'm just venting for a minute. And the thing is that the professor is, dude, she's so great. Like, I really, genuinely, from my heart, I appreciate her. And I am so lucky and privileged to have someone like that as a professor because she is so intelligent and she's so knowledgeable and she's honestly able to put a lot of concepts together sometimes that don't make sense to me, but when she points it out, I'm like, yeah, that's pretty cool. And not a lot of people are able to do that for me. So when I see that, I'm like, I think you're cool. Like, I have respect, I have deep respect for her, but I hate her teaching style. I can't lie, and I can have these duality of emotions where I really love the person, but I just don't like their teaching style, and that's okay. So now that I've realized this, right, and I completely recognize this. I talked to my advisor about this, and he was like, "That's good feedback. Like you should give this feedback to her at the end of the course." And I most likely will. I most likely will because I do respect her as a person, and I feel like if I can help make her class run better the following semester or the following year, in even like the slight or tiny amount, then why shouldn't I give her the feedback? Like she's a reasonable person. I think she'll take it. But that's aside from this point. One of the things I wanted to hit on was, when you're stuck in this kind of class where it's not your optimal learning style, how do you get through this phase? And that's a great question because I have lived this life in undergraduate more than once. Several times I took courses because there were requirements. I had to take them and I had to literally go through them even though I wasn't going to retain any of the information from those classrooms, sadly. Looking back in hindsight, I'm like, perhaps those weren't the classes for me, and that's probably very true. But since I was stuck in this mind of, oh, I want to do pre med, like, and I was saying, there were requirements that I had to take. Like, I had no choice but to take the requirements. So I had to be stuck in those classes. But the way you get through this phase is by putting in the fucking work. By putting in the fucking work. This means that you take extra time outside of your class time to understand the material yourself, and you walk in like the lecture and the Thursday stuff is review. It should not be the first time you see that information, bro. That should be a review for you because you have already done the work for this. And I want to take you back to 20 spring 2019. Spring 2019 is when I took Orgo 1 and Organic Chemistry 1, which was part of the pre-med requirements. And I'll spoil the story now. Orgo 1, I hated. Orgo 2, I fell in love with organic chemistry. Like, fell in love, bro. And then I took advanced organic. Did amazing. Started with an A minus in Orgo 1, A in A in Orgo 2, A or A plus in advanced Orgo. Like, the transition, and I still do orgo related stuff now sometimes. So like that knowledge bank that I got was so important and so necessary that I'm so grateful for that experience. And that's how I gotta look at this class too, like what if the fundamental stuff I'm learning in this class helps me 2 years down the line? That means I can't just be fucking around and doing the bare minimum. That means I gotta step it up and I gotta put in the fucking work. But spring 2019 Orgo, same thing, my teacher she would just lecture for 3 times a week for like an hour. Like, just lecture, bro. No practice problems, no nothing, just lecture. And it's boring as fuck, because tell me how I'm supposed to, as a human who's like, I have ADHD tendencies, like, let's be real. But if I didn't have them, I wouldn't be as good as I am at my job and the stuff that I do. Like, in order to do the stuff that I do, I need that kind of mind. And which means that it comes with some of the drawbacks. And one of the drawbacks is that if something bores me, no matter what I do, I could have a copious amount of caffeine. I could be sleeping 10 hours a day, enough sleep, everything. Everything could be dialed in, but if something bores me, I'm gonna fall asleep. My body is not gonna be able to retain the information. I'm gonna fall asleep. It's just gonna happen. So, how did I combat that orgo thing? I implemented this protocol instead of seeing the stuff in the lecture for the first time, and instead of just focusing on the class, I was like, I can't look at it that way. I gotta switch to focusing on the learning and figuring out how I'm gonna learn these concepts so that I can ace the class without really even being in the class. That's exactly what I did. I went online, Khan Academy videos, YouTube videos, organic chem tutor, online, and all I did was watch videos at a faster pace because that would keep me interested. And then I would just find practice problems online and just keep doing practice problems, like drawing out reaction mechanisms, figuring out like all the basic things, and memorizing naming conventions, chirality things, etc., etc. I don't need to go in depth with that. But every time I stepped in after my first exam in Orgo 1, which I got a 70-ish in, I knew I had to step my shit up because at that time I wanted to go to med school. No one's taking you in med school when you're getting 70s on your Orgo exam. Or, I mean, and I digress from that point. But after that, every exam I got like 80 plus, and then 90 plus. Like incrementally it kept increasing. It never got worse from there because that first exam was my wake-up call, because I'm like, I'm not paying attention in class, I'm not doing good in the problem set. Like I need to do good, not just for myself but so that I can also take Orgo 2 next semester, which also was a requirement. So I learned the basic concepts by literally just learning myself through YouTube, Khan Academy videos, and then doing practice problems. Countless practice problems. And every time I'd get it wrong, I'd have to do it 2 more times. Like that was something I just implemented. And that extra work is what got me a decent grade in the class, but also gave me the skills I needed to literally excel in Orgo 2, bro. Orgo 2 was a breeze because my fundamentals were so strong because I'd learned it myself. Like I wasn't relying on someone else to be the source, to be the only source. Like I took the learning into my own hands, and that's exactly what's got to be done here. So I'm glad I talked this out. When you know your optimal learning style, which is key, awareness is key, bro, in figuring out what it is that you really want to do in life. And if you have figured out your optimal learning style, make sure you stick to it. And if you have a class that deviates from it, figure out how on your own you're going to be able to learn the same content but through your optimal learning style. I think that's the key of how you get through classes that you have to take or you need to take, and you need to know the information of, but don't match up with your learning style. That's the biggest tip in this video, I think. 13 minutes. Okay. The next thing is consistency doesn't mean 100% each day. And what I mean by that is you don't have 100% to offer each day. But if you have 80% and you offer 80%, that's 100% for that day. And sometimes I push myself and I'll be like, nah, like I'm at 80 but I can't give 100, so I'm going to give 100. But it takes away time and energy from the next day. And then next day you're starting out at an even lower bar. And this goes back to the rest and recovery thing, why that's so important. So consistency is about showing up regardless of how you feel, but also recognize that some days are just not going to be as progressive as others. Like some days you're not going to make as much progress as other days, and that's perfectly fine. As long as you show up, as long as you put in your best effort that you can that day, whatever that baseline is, that's what matters. So focus on that. And if like genuinely you feel exhausted and you can't do stuff, like I can't lie, bro, like before this I took a 30-minute nap, and even an hour before that I took like a 15-minute nap. And it's because like I'm realizing today that my physical body has just been so exhausted and I've been pushing myself so much that I need to take that time. But this is something I think that's important in a PhD program, because consistency is exactly also the same trait that yields results over the long period of time. If you don't show up on the days that you feel low, and you just skip things completely, you know, it that momentum is gonna not be, it's not gonna be there. And the more you skip on things that you commit to, the more you're instilling that habit, which means the more you'll keep doing it. I just thank the Lord and myself that I learned these lessons at an earlier age because of my immigrant background, and then having to work in a very high stressful job environment where we'd be at our computer screens like 8, 10 hours a day non-stop, and you have to work because your shit has got to get done. I think it's extremely important and valuable traits to learn so that you can excel and become a better version of yourself in your PhD program too, or any other thing that you're doing in life, high school, graduate school, masters, whatever. And last thing I want to hit on is learning to be flexible, because things are gonna come up. That's life. Things are always gonna come up, and you have to be able to adapt to situations, move your time around so you can still finish the goals that you have for the week, or try to work towards the goals you have for the week, while also maintaining that mindset that, yeah, if something happens, like I can also do this instead. What the classic instance I'm thinking of right now is with that same class. My professor is supposed to upload the readings for next week on Thursdays, and it's Sunday night, and the readings are still not there. So I'm like, if we need to read them by Thursday, I think we should be given the full week to do so, especially since like we're all busy people, like we have things to do, and now I have to read the papers throughout the week instead of having to read them on the weekend when I have more time, you know? And these are not easy papers. Like I don't know all these concepts in the papers because it's not my background. So, but what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Can't complain too much. You just gotta learn to adapt and be flexible. And those are the learnings for this week. Since this video has already reached almost 20 minutes, which is crazy, I will wrap it up here. If you made it this far into it and are still listening, I just want to say I appreciate you so much. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you got something out of the video, and even from this self-reflection process that I go through. I know I got a lot out of it, so I can't complain. But yeah, I'm also thinking this week, the science video that I record, I might do it on ChatGPT and how to actually use it in research, because I feel like I've been practicing my skills with ChatGPT so much that I live in a bubble where I didn't realize that most people don't use ChatGPT like that. So I think it could be extremely valuable. If you want to stick around for that as well, make sure you subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.